Happy Friday. I have a little coffee talk here this morning talking about raising up your brand. And this is one of my favorite topics I do with my clients, and I'm excited to share some of this with you. This is part of my Raise Up Your Brand and Your Voice series that started last Friday, and I'm going to be continuing for the next several Fridays. So welcome to today. And today is all about raising up your brand. And last week we started with the essence of you. Who are you at your very essence? Getting clear about your strengths, your passions. And we're going to start to take that from the inside out to build your brand. So this means that the essence of you feeds into what your brand is, so that you're not just creating a brand that sounds like everybody else's, but you're creating a brand that's really true to you. And this starts with going inside first. And that means going inside and listening to your inner wisdom. It means making space. I love to actually go out into nature and sit down and take my journal out and think about what is it about my brand that is really important to know right now. It means even creating ritual. Last year when I relaunched my brand, I spent many months going through the process of what is my brand supposed to be? What's speaking to me from my inner wisdom, saying that this is what my brand should be, and start to notice what words resonate. And it's such a powerful exercise when you start to notice what words resonate for you as you're journaling. What words, who am I at my essence, and what's my brand stand for? And that's where the essence of your brand starts to take place. When I did mine last year, I had all kinds of beautiful words that came into the space of what my brand stood for. And it was about flow. It was about the soul. It was about listening. It was about lighting up the gypsy soul, the fire dancer. So those were all words that came up for me, but everybody's going to have different words that come up that start to just feel like what your brand stands for. Another great thing you could do is you can go out and you can ask others, what's one word that comes to mind when you think of me and my work? And you'll get all kinds of beautiful feedback. I think one of the words that came back from a lot of my clients was they saw calm, a calm presence, a space to be held in their journey. Those were words that came back from some of my clients that I was able to weave into the essence of my brand. And then you can start to play with the energy of your brand. And this is really fun work. And how does the energy of your brand resonate, right? If your brand was an animal, what kind of animal would it be? Because that will start to tell you how to direct your brand for the future, what your brand should look and feel like, what kinds of energy you are bringing into your brand. So when I did this last year in my brand, and my animal was a snow leopard and a whale, which both of those were really a surprise to me, that those were the animals when I sat down and asked that question of myself with my journal. If my brand was an animal, what would it be? And those were the animals that came up for me. And I was like, well, that's really interesting. And when I think of what those two animals mean, so for the snow leopard, there was a mystic about it. There was some kind of a deep wisdom associated with this. There was the softness of its fur, the beautiful feel of if you can imagine what a snow leopard's fur must feel like, it must be just incredible. The whale was also an interesting one for me, and I think that had something to do with the sea. I love the ocean. I love the energy of the ocean. But also a whale will breach the surface and come out, but then they'll go very, very deep. So there was some things there for me to play with. You can ask yourself, if your brand was a person, who would it be? That can give you all kinds of insights. And if your brand was a place, the energies of different places in the world can give you clues about the colors you choose. It can give you clues about the way your clients experience your work. It's all those different kinds of things. So energy is the second piece of this. For after you've gone inside out, you start to play in the energy of it. But then you need to go to the outside in, who you serve. And this is really equally as important. And this gets into, if you think about the work that I like to help people with, I like to help them go deep into their soul and understand that soulful wisdom that wants to come forth from them. But then you also have to understand the more linear side of this. This is the more of the yang side of this, if you're thinking yin yang. And the outside in is who you serve. So getting really clear about who your niche market is. This is so, so important. I can't stress that enough. Who's your ideal client? You know, put a face to them, put a personality to them, and start to think about what are their biggest needs and their biggest desires. I have a tool that I take my clients through. I say it's my magic messaging tool. And it's a 3-column spreadsheet. And we look at the pain that's keeping them awake. What's that thing that's keeping them awake at night? What's the emotions associated with that? And when they're in the middle of the night, what emotions are showing up for them? And more importantly, what's the desired state that they want to be in? And this is, I think, the magic part of this, because if you can get into the desired state, you can get into creating, I prefer marketing, messaging, and branding that is really forward thinking. This is what I want to create in my life. This is what I desire in my life. And if you look at it from that perspective, and I know a lot of people teach this differently. They teach, you've got to focus on the pain. You've got to focus on the pain. And I did that several years ago. And guess what? It just did not resonate in my body. I didn't feel it. And I started to think about whenever I have invested in programs for my business, it's always been about the aspirations of what can be versus, oh my God, something's going to break or something is, I'm going to fail. It was more the aspirations of what can be. So I choose to do marketing from that perspective where you're really, this is the possibilities. This is the desired state that you can get to if you do this sort of work. So it's a choice that you can make. You can choose to build marketing and messaging in your pains and the emotions associated with that, or you can understand those but also really put your focus on your words around the desired state. That's my personal choice. So this is the outside in and who you serve. And as you really get clear about this, gathering this data around the pain, the emotions, and the desired state, you can actually go out and talk to your customers. What's keeping them awake at night? You need to understand that. What do they really, really want? And what's most important is, what is the reason they say yes to you? This is so important to get to this. What's the lever that they are going to invest with you? So again, this is the outside in, who you serve, the dollars associated. This is how you bring the dollars in. And this is the linear side of branding. So you've got to do this deep soulful work, but then you've got to do the linear piece. It takes both aspects of this. I love teaching this kind of work. It's really helped me shape my own brand. It comes from me being in branding for probably 30 plus years. And it's me pulling all these different pieces that I have learned over the years and applying it in my business, in my clients' businesses, and it's a lot of fun. I'm going to be teaching this and basically how you take this work and really put your voice out in a bigger, stronger way in the world at my Emerging Expert Academy, which is going to be held on June 27th. And I would love to see you there. So come join us. And in the meantime, what I invite you to do is to start to listen to your inner wisdom of your brand. Get out into nature, make some space, play in the words that are resonating for you, that feel special and unique to you. And it's when you're hitting on the right kind of words, when they spark you up a little bit, right? There should be some spark in your brand. And it can take all different flavors, but you get to just really listen and say, which words are resonating for me? So have fun with that, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye.